Content can be a really scary and complex thing to handle as an artist, especially if you've never done it before. And to be honest, the more you look online, the more you realize there's not really a lot of people telling you actually how to make the content or what kind of strategies to use, but rather just that you need to make content, which everybody already knows. So I'm taking this into my own hands and I'm educating you based on my experience of filming over 3,000 reels for artists just this year alone and getting more than 100 million views with those reels. Before we get into it, my name is Patrick Stafford and I started Origins Artist Development to give you more specific ways that you can start promoting your music, a lot of which are completely for free. And with that being said, today I'm going to show you how to make a simple content strategy that doesn't require a ton of brain power. It still requires effort, but it gives you a clearer, more actionable path on how you can actually make the right type of content for your music that's not just gonna get views, but it's also gonna get you fans and streams, which is the most important thing after all, right? Content is simple, but you're just overthinking it. So again, this is gonna be how we make a simple content strategy. We're gonna go over 3 steps on how you can never run out of content. And by the end of this video, you're gonna understand how to make a content strategy, what kind of pieces of content you actually need to promote your music, and you're gonna have an actionable plan to put it all together without it being this crazy confusing thing. Let's get right into step number 1, which is listen to the song actively. So the first thing you need to do here is you need to take a real listen to the song and try to imagine it from the perspective of somebody who's never listened to it before. If somebody's hearing this song for the first time ever, what are their initial thoughts? Not just on the quality, but the feeling and the vibe that it gives overall. It's great if you can get a few friends on this as well so they can have a listen, because that is gonna be a true first listen for them. When you're doing this deep listen, you wanna come up with scenarios where people would actually listen to the song. So what kinds of places are they thinking about? What feeling do they associate with the song? And basically, where would they find themselves listening to this? And overall, just analyzing the song on an emotional standpoint. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna actually write a list, whether it's pen and paper or it's online, and then you're gonna write all of these things that you were thinking about down. If you wanna take an extra step, create a mood board as well with a lot of similar pictures and visuals that your song might go along with. Now, what this is gonna do is it's gonna allow you to actually understand your song from a little bit more of an emotional perspective, not only based on what your intention with the song is, but how it's perceived. Because when you tell somebody a story, they're not always gonna hear it and they're not always gonna listen to you in the same way that you're intending to put it out. Your story and their story, even though it may have similarities, it's ultimately different. So you're taking this whole step to really understand your song so we can continue on to step number 2, which is finding a time and location that matches the list. So on this step, you're actually gonna start diving into the content and coming up with some ideas on where you can film. So what I like to do is find an area that matches the overall vibe of whatever the song is, right? So let's imagine one of the things on your list is that the song would be good for a late night drive. Well, what you could do is you can actually take a late night drive and film the reels in your car. Maybe bring a friend along so they can record a cool video or put it up on the dashboard so it's getting a cool shot of you performing your song. Think about what time of day the song. This is a terrible time for you guys to be mowing right now. And then once you have this location and time in mind, you're gonna write it down and make it part of your plan to specifically go out and film during that time of day and in that specific location. And once you've done this, one of the things I like to do is take a little bit of time to pay attention to your day-to-day surroundings. So whether you're out with your friends or you're just hanging out by yourself, maybe you randomly will come across a location that matches this list. Be ready to pull out your phone and start recording. There's an artist I want to show you who actually does this really well. His name is Cuffing Season, and he's a full-time artist that does not overthink content, right? So what he does is he doesn't even batch record his content. He just waits until he sees locations that fit his music because he's been making content long enough to know what people like, and he just goes out and films whenever it's convenient. And it's not this crazy complex thing for him, but he's very consistent. He never misses a day, and the content really works. You could see an example like this one here. You can live forever inside of my mind. And if we scroll through this, you can see that it's literally just one shot, and it's 1 minute and 1 second, and it's getting a ton of likes and engagement. And when he does this every single day, it really starts to stack up. And a pro tip, you can actually save locations on your maps. You can create a custom location both on Google and Apple Maps so you can save it for later use. And that brings us to step number 3, film everything the same for each song. So what I mean by this is You know how you brand yourself as an artist and you come up with like visuals and your artist narrative and all of these things that make up who you are? Well, not only can you brand yourself as an artist, but you can also brand your individual songs, meaning each song is gonna have its own unique look based on how it feels. So what I like to do is make sure that you're using the same settings, the same type of colors, the same locations, and ultimately remember that it's not that deep. All you should be focused on right now is building up an ecosystem of content that consistently works. And if you're watching this video, you probably haven't found that yet, and that's totally okay. So this is part of the way that you're gonna find it. So these frames here are an example that I put together using a song that my girlfriend made. So my girlfriend's an awesome hairstylist. She does a lot of creative things, and she recently got into music. So I figured, what better test subject than somebody that lives with me, right? So we were out in London and we found this really cool blue building, and I was like, you know what? This building looks exactly like whatever the vibe of this new song that you just did is. So let's film a bunch of content. We filmed somewhere between 12 and 15 takes, all within 30 minutes. And now she's got a whole ecosystem of performance content. And each one of these frames is a different video, but you can see it all has the same feeling. So instead of going out to a bunch of different types of places, she's keeping it very consistent stylistically so that when one of these videos pops up on your feed, you know that it's her song. And this is what they look like in action. They're nothing crazy. And then another one. And another one. And one trick that a lot of people don't know is you can actually take these lyrics that I made for this and you don't have to redo them for every single video. All you have to do is take the lyrics and copy them over. And this is why I like using DaVinci instead of CapCut for these. And now we just drag the lyrics over here. It's super easy. So this is gonna be the main part of the content that you film, is just basic performance reels. What these are really good for is establishing an aesthetic, which helps build your world as an artist, and it helps test your music. Because when the content is all the same, people aren't really gonna judge the visuals as much, they're gonna judge the song itself, because that's the main thing that there is to pay attention to. So this is a good way of testing your music and putting out a lot of content that's gonna help people understand the feeling that your music is supposed to give, which eventually leads to them understanding you better, which leads to them ultimately becoming a fan. And then once you have all of this done, you're gonna start mixing in personality content that either breaks down the process or helps push the message of your music. And personality content is super simple. People like to make it this whole confusing thing all the time, but literally all it is content that uses your voice and your body language. As long as it has those two things and it's not a performance, it's giving people an understanding of what you are like in real life. So some different ideas are doing a behind the scenes of your shoot, talking about the meaning of your song, mini vlogs showing how you make music and content, a get ready with me, fan interactions, behind the scenes of shows, and honestly, there's a bunch of other types as well. And one thing you can do is actually think like an influencer in the niche of your music topic. I know that sounds a little confusing, so let me break it down. Basically, your music is gonna have a certain demographic that it reaches, right? Let's say the people that like your music generally tend to like anime. Well, what you can do is you can involve anime in your storytelling and your daily lifestyle videos, if that's something that you also resonate with, and make it a part of your content so people kind of build that association. So that way, instead of them having to think about how they like both of these things, you're kind of putting it right there in front of them, so that association is just naturally happening. One artist who does this really well is John Michael Howell. Let's take a look at this video, for example. This is a really good example showing the music side of his content and the personality side of his content all in one video.
Making a song in the style of Demon Slayer, with the topic of Puppet. As an anime nerd, I'm super excited for this. As a musician, I'm extremely terrified. So let's see what happens. Music, breathing, first form. Let's do this. Let's start with drums. Electric guitar. Bass. Let's add a choir sound. Now for lyrics with the topic of puppet. You got me wrapped around your finger, acting like a fool. Must have been the strings you pulled. Yeah. Background vocals. Around your finger. around your finger. Check this out, this is crazy.
You got me wrapped around your finger, acting like a fool. Must have been the strings you pulled.
So you can see it's a really good way for him to showcase his personality because he's making jokes and talking about things he's liking, and it's showing his musical ability, which of course is one of the most important things, and he's also building that anime association, so he's getting fans of his personality, of his music, and of anime all liking him at the same time. And when you do something like that, we can see that that is actually his top song with almost 10 million streams. Now there's a lot of other things that go into the marketing as well, but this is a very, very important part for his brand as well as a lot of other artists. And I do want to put a disclaimer in here too. I know that there's a lot of artists out there that are like, oh, I don't want to be an influencer and post influencer type content. Well, unfortunately, that is one of the things that you have to do as an artist if you want to see the highest amount of success. Now, everything technically works. It's just a matter of what degree it works to. So if you want the best of the best, you've got to have a little bit of a pain tolerance and be willing to do some things that you don't necessarily want to do in order to get the best results possible. Now, if you don't want to do those things and you don't have the pain tolerance for it, you're going to have to use other ways, and my channel might not be the best for you. But if you're the type of person that's willing to work through any conditions, willing to learn to love these types of processes, then you're in the right place. And you see what I did there? I'm adding to my association of building up artists that are willing to try and expand on a lot of different avenues. So once you've got all of this done, we're gonna go ahead and put together a checklist for each one of your songs. Now this checklist is something that you should have for every single song before you even think about dropping it. And if you do, you're gonna see a lot more success than the artist who just drops and hopes that their music is gonna get streamed. It's gonna start off with 15 to 30 performance videos. These are the simple 1 or 2 shot videos where it's just putting a highlight on your music and it's building your aesthetic, and that's about it. You're gonna do about 5 to 15 personality videos, so those ones I was talking about where it showcases your personality, tells a story, and maybe feels a little bit more like influencer content. And then finally, you're gonna have 5 to 10 promo photos, just so you have enough for your cover, a couple carousels if you need it, and for whatever other uses. And with all of that, you're keeping this plan very, very simple. Now, the way I would roll this content out is I would figure out a weekly schedule. We'll say Monday, we'll do performance, Tuesday, personality, Wednesday, performance plus personality, Thursday, music, Friday, carousel, Saturday, music, and Sunday, rest day. Now, this is a very high performance schedule and it requires you obviously to be posting 6 days a week, which I know some people can't handle, and that's totally okay. So what I would do if you can't commit to posting that much yet is I would try to post 3 times a week, and maybe we'll copy the same schedule, but instead we'll do something a little bit like this. Monday, performance reel, Tuesday, rest day, Wednesday, performance plus personality, Thursday, rest day, Friday, rest day, unless dropping a song that day, Saturday, personality, and Sunday, rest. Now this way, you're only posting 3 times a week. Now this doesn't mean you're only working on this stuff 3 days a week. It means you're only posting 3 days a week. So what you should be doing ideally is working on different things all of these days of the week, and you're stacking up content, but there's a little bit less pressure to have a strict deadline for every single day. So with all of that being said, let's recap real quick. The 3 steps to never run out of content are: 1, to listen to your song actively, make sure you fully understand it in depth from an outside perspective, meaning what the emotion is behind the song, what the message is, and even where somebody might listen to it at. Then you're gonna find a time and location that matches the list, and you're gonna stay observant of those types of locations and timing just in case it's ever convenient to get some extra content. From there, you're gonna film a bunch of performance content that feels the same. Maybe it's recorded in the exact same location or with just a similar aesthetic and colors. Then you're gonna start making some personality content that showcases not only what the song is, but why it exists, what the messaging is behind it, and any interesting stories. You're gonna think about influencer content that might work in the niche that your music caters towards. And through that, you're gonna put a checklist together of 15 to 30 performance videos, 5 to 15 personality videos, and 5 to 10 promo photos per song. And once you have all of this, you're gonna have a song that is ready to drop. You're gonna be able to create a schedule that makes sense for the rollout that you can actually stick to and be consistent with, which is the #1 most important thing to a strategy like this. And with all of that, you've got a simple strategy that you can repeat for every single song you ever post. If you ever want help making your content just a little bit better, I've got this amazing bundle I put together that's got everything you need to fully understand the foundations of content, including a content playbook that shows you the 6 most used formats for your music promo, a short form content course that not only tells you how to make content, but it tells you why different types of content work, a social media toolkit to make sure that you have an amazing first impression every time somebody goes to your page, so the reels that do good give you even more followers and fans, and a couple other goodies like this hook and caption cheat sheet that shows you exact hooks and captions that you can steal for your videos to help them get seen by even more people. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.